and welcome everybody. This is the Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Bo, and of course I am joined by our coach, Coach Bono. How you doing, buddy?
Great, Bo. Thanks for it's great to finally get this thing kicked off. I'm excited. We're going to have to kind of fly by the seat of our pants, it sounds like a little bit, but
yeah. Well, that's always a new show.
Yeah, I'm super excited about the show, excited to be on here with you in particular, and looking forward to this first episode and many more to follow.
Absolutely. So we do have a guest coming on today, which is going to be awesome. We got the head coach of the DC Defenders UFL team, but being our first show, let everybody know who you are that hasn't seen you before.
All right, Coach John Bonamigo, retired, 20 years in the National Football League, 6 franchises, 3 of them twice. So a total of 9 jobs. So, I'll start with the ones that I was with twice. The Jaguars twice, the Saints twice, the Lions twice. And then Miami, Green Bay, and the LA Rams. I think that rounds them out. At the college level, I've been a head coach at Central Michigan University, which was my alma mater for 4 years. Also was at Iowa State, Michigan, and the United States Military Academy for a long time. So been a high school coach, college coach, NFL coach, seen it at all levels. Love the game. It's been great for me and my family. It's still paying the bills, and one of the very fortunate ones that can say that. And currently I'm in business development with BSN Sports, the #1 sporting good athletic equipment and apparel distributor / manufacturer in the United States. So been very, very blessed, and home base is currently Palm Coast, Florida.
All right. And of course we got questions already. So what was your favorite team? Favorite and then least favorite?
Wow, they've all, I don't know that I have a least favorite. I think when you look at that list, obviously some great franchises. It's really tough to beat Green Bay, and I say that just because of the structure of the organization. It's a team that doesn't have an owner; they're owned by the fans. The tradition of Lambeau Field, of the Green Bay Packers. There's a definite mystique about that place. You feel it whether or not you're working there or not, or if you're a visitor there. And I've been blessed to be on both sides of that. Least favorite, man, I really can't say that I have one, just because, man, there's only 32 franchises in the world. There's only 32 jobs like the one that I had, and I was incredibly blessed to have the opportunity to work in that arena for 20 years. So I'm gonna decline saying there's a least favorite. But the interesting thing, and not to get off on too much of a tangent here, is people would be surprised how similar but yet how different each franchise is from team to team throughout the league. And that's because they're all individually privately owned businesses that, they do operate under a governing body, which is the National Football League. So there's a, set of rules for how they, operate their businesses, but they're still independently run. And, I think that's one of the coolest things about having had the opportunity to see behind the curtain is, just the inner workings of, each franchise, how they operate. Some spend big, some don't. But, again, to be a member of one of 32 it's an elite group. And again, something I'm very proud of.
Well, I would imagine that probably varies a fair amount just based on who the head coaching staff was.
Yes, but even more so, I think ownership, the GM, general manager, obviously, how they operate the draft and practice, those are going to change. But even on a grander scale, the ownership, just, everything from the benefits to the investment in facilities, allocation of funds in terms of how much they allocate for for a coaching staff and that sort of thing. So it's really interesting how different most of those teams are from one another.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, especially with because they send those grades out every year where the players kind of grade.
Yeah, they just started doing that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and when you're looking at the Chiefs, right? Like they got absolutely buried by their players based on their facility, which is hilarious being that they are routinely in the Super Bowl at the moment.
Well, the interesting thing about the facilities is that's something that just recently, I would say within the last decade, has started to trickle over to the NFL. I mean, the colleges were way ahead in terms of, physical buildings and just all the bells and whistles and the things that we're accustomed to now. You go back as recently as 10 years ago, a lot of clubs were very bare boned, and it's really become with the onset of, with free agency and how important that is, the ability to acquire players and science. A lot of teams have invested a lot into like the recovery, not rehab, but recovery. So cryo, the cryo chambers, the pods, the relaxation pods, all of that type of technology to help players recover and get, and stay fresh, throughout the season. That's been a big investment, but it's really come a long way. And the Chiefs being an older, more traditional franchise, maybe one of the ones that were a little slower to come along, but you're seeing renovations now to the physical facilities, being the locker room, meeting rooms, throughout the league. Probably one of the nicest ones that I've been in. And I didn't get an opportunity to work there. I interviewed with the Minnesota Vikings, and what they have built is absolutely unbelievable. It is cutting edge from start to finish. And one of I know you'll appreciate this, Bo, and I know anybody that watching will. One of the coolest, probably the most unique features that they built in that facility is they have a full, like, state-of-the-art high school field with field turf, not even cement. I'm going to say brick bleachers, a jumbo scoreboard, lighted, everything, visiting and home, 2 locker rooms. And they have, they host like a game of the week there. And, what a great way to give back to the game and give back to the community. I think, that's probably one of the cooler things that I've seen. And the Vikings don't use it. It's lined for high school, which is fantastic. I love Friday night lights, man. My wife and I, one of our hobbies is, when the fall hits, we try to take in a high school game, 3, 4, 5 times a year. And, fortunately, being in Florida here, we've got pretty good high school football. So we got a good selection of games to choose from.
Well, and you don't have to sit in horrible weather to watch it.
Exactly. Well, when you're my age and you're going voluntarily, you don't have to do anything. So,
well, there's that.
If there's rain in the forecast, I've sat through enough rain games. I'm not in practices in my day. Although if it's a good enough matchup, I'll probably end up there anyway. So.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, the rain's a little different in Florida than it is here in the Northwest, though, right? Because down there it's still going to be 60 degrees or more, and here, you're talking like 42 and raining and wind, and the incentive drops a little bit.
That's really the miserable, right? And I've sat through my fair share of those too. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. Well, as a coach, you don't even have the benefit of being able to run on the field. Playing, at least you were like, I hope the offense scores so I can get back on the field, because you're just standing there, you're cold, right? People actually think that you stay warm, because you have the pads and everything on. Man, the wind rips right through that stuff.
Yeah.
So you, as a player, you're pretty amped to get back on the field. You're like, okay, cool, either score or turn it over or something. I don't know. Just let me get back out there so I can run.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I knew I was starting to get soft my last years there at Iowa State, man. We had some cold evenings, and I was finding that sideline heater just like the players. So,
No doubt. So we do have a couple other good questions in here. We got, what team role do you think was most impactful for you?
I would say my first one, with the Jacksonville Jaguars, certainly because of a big part of that, because of the head coach that brought me in the league was Tom Coughlin. It's a big jump going from college to even major college to the NFL, and it's not even the X's and O's. I remember on my interview, Coach Coughlin saying to me, and I didn't understand what he was talking about at the time, but he said, John, there's more parallels between the NFL and high school football than there is between the NFL and college football. And, I kind of filed that away, and it really wasn't until after training camp when we started to cut the roster down and get into the prep for the regular season that I really understood what he was talking about. And he's really talking about the sizes of the rosters. In college football, typically your major college team is going to have at least 120 players on the roster, maybe more than that once school starts and they can add some more walk-ons. So, typically, unless you intentionally script periods where you're going to go good on good, which a lot of teams do that around the country. We certainly try to do a portion of it when I was at Central Michigan, but the offense isn't seeing the defense. They're on opposite ends of the field. They each have their own, scout teams, and where in the NFL, it's more like, you have to service one another. So, you have a 12-play offensive period and followed that up by a 12-play defensive period. And, those corresponding players, a lot of them, except for your frontline starters, are going to have to serve as the show team for the opposite side of the ball. Certainly you'll utilize every one of your practice squad guys, but there aren't enough of those to field a complete team. So, you're going to use, your sixth, your seventh, your eighth offensive lineman, certainly your fourth, fifth wide receiver, your third running back. Those guys are going to, have scout team duties, throughout the course of practice. And so, your number of reps, the amount of time that you're on the field is a lot shorter. So there are a lot more parallels between college and pro. So, back to the original question, which was, which one was most impactful? That's pretty an easy answer. It was Coach Coughlin with the Jaguars for a multitude of reasons.
No, I could see that. I mean, I much prefer the ones versus ones anyway. I feel like you're getting better work, right?
Yeah, you get better speed, but again, it's you might be asking you're also looking for for details within that presentation for things that you might have in the game plan that your defense may not carry, or your offense. You can usually get to anything and everything, but in the NFL, I mean, you want to be very mindful of how many reps you put on guys throughout the week. There's a fine line between not enough and too much, or and the optimal number.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could definitely see that. I mean, you don't want to wear guys out during the week.
Yeah, it's a long season. People don't realize how taxing that is on those guys. To go through a 17-week, regular season now, and then, if you're a young player, somebody's playing in those preseason games, right? there's going to be somebody taking those reps. So and then, that's just to get to the playoffs, and then the playoffs are a whole nother deal. It's rare that anybody gets through the season completely unscathed. Everybody's nursing something.
Yeah, I never played a season where I didn't get hurt to some degree.
Yeah, there's no question.
Like you get banged up, and I didn't have to play a 17-week season. It was, I think our seasons were, they were roughly, they were 12 game seasons.
Gotcha.
I guess I don't even remember anymore. Yeah, I think they were 12. I think they were 12 game. But yeah, I mean, you get banged up. I mean, it only takes one hit, right? So I mean, and of course for me, like I liked playing on special teams. It's how I got my mind right for a game. Is put me out there on kick. I want to go down there. Like I always had nervous energy. Didn't matter how long I played. I always had nervous energy. I wanted to get out there on kickoff and go down and blast somebody. And then I was right for the game. But until I got that first hit, I always just was like, let's go.
No question. I think that's pretty common. I think most players have that, that you want to get that first play, that first,
well,
out of the way, just to get settled in.
Absolutely. And it was funny because it didn't matter like my entire career until my last snap. It was, let me get down the field. All right. Let's see. We got a couple people saying hi. My mom checking in. Daniel. All right. So you ever walk up to kids after a game, give them a few tips? Do you do that? Like, it seems like that would be
I'm assuming that you're asking about going to a high school game. No, not really. If I meet somebody or know somebody, they ask specifically, sure. But I don't typically give advice unsolicited, because look, biggest thing is, that's not my team. Those aren't my players, and I wouldn't want someone, I don't know how they're being coached. I don't know what they're being asked to do or told to do. And I don't want to try to farm someone else's land, I guess.
Well, I mean, it seems like you'd be stepping on toes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's their team. They may be working through something that you haven't seen, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're on that practice field in and out. And so maybe what it is they're doing is working through a technique issue anyway.
Right.
So yeah, I can't imagine that you would do it. I mean, if you're asked, sure. So getting to coach for your alma mater, that had to have been awesome. You were there for 4 years, right?
Correct.
And you got them to three bowl games?
Yeah, right? We went to bowl games the first 3 years, and then year 4 we were really young and didn't win enough games. Bottom line, I think that's the thing you're always reminded of in this profession, is that you have to understand what you're signing up for, and you got to do everything right, but you need to win at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely a "what have you done for me lately" game.
No question.
Like I wouldn't even limit it to a league. It's just every elevation of the game. As soon as you don't have a winning season, you're like, "Oh, is this the season?"
Right. But I would also throw in that, like, if you're going to get let go, if you're going to get fired, you want to get fired because you didn't win enough. Not for not because you didn't do things the right way. You didn't coach by the rules, play by the rules, or God forbid, you didn't treat someone's son, like they deserve to be treated. And I think that's probably one of the greatest and best pieces of advice that anybody gave me when I first started off. Was my head coach at Central Michigan, Coach Herb Duramity, said, just don't forget that you're, those players they're all somebody's son. And that's, and man, when you get to the NFL, they're not just somebody's son, they're somebody's husband. They're they've always been somebody's dad. Exactly. And so I think we all need to be mindful of that. My greatest mentor, Coach Frank Gantz Sr., we used to always say, and I adopted it, was we attack problems, we don't attack people. You never make it personal. It's business. There's going to be tough conversations at times because my job is to be critical of your performance and get you better. So you're not that in itself means that if I'm telling you the truth, that it's you may not always like what I'm going to say, but it's going to be the best thing for you in the long run. And but we have to always be mindful in terms of how we go about making those corrections. It can never ever be personal. It's again, you attack the problem, not the person.
Well, and I would imagine that is also kind of player specific to a degree, because players accept that insight differently. Like for me, I was never one that I never needed a lot of like, oh, you're doing a great job kind of thing. Tell me what it is I need to work on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I want.
That's what, coaching is first and foremost. It's a teaching profession, right? You're a teacher first, right? And because it's not what it's what you can get your players to learn, and more importantly, get them to execute at a high level when it counts, on game day. And so, you have to keep in mind that everybody learns differently, and that everybody, if you have a team of 120, you have 120 different personalities. And, understanding and knowing your people is probably one of the most valuable things that you can learn as a coach, because you can't use the same approach with every single person. It's not going to work. You've got to be able to adapt to your circumstances and the individuals that you're dealing with. And now your core principles, your discipline, all those things, that's non-negotiable. You don't waver from that. You don't obviously never waver from from your team rules, but how you go about engaging them individually, you have to understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So I did have a question that was written in on another platform that,
okay.
If you were to go back into coaching, where would you want to go? Like if you could pick your spot.
In terms of like NFL or college or just anywhere?
Yes, they didn't specify. So we'll just go either way. Or actually maybe one in each location, I guess.
Okay. Well, I would say if it was in the NFL, probably the Jaguars, if for no other reason, is it's really close by, and then we have a family history with that franchise. I mean, it's where I got my start in the league, and just the lady that I married, my wife for 24 years, was a cheerleader for the Jags. Not when I was coaching, but she was.
I like that you throw that little caveat in there.
I make sure I frame that correctly, but it was. She was a member of the inaugural staff, inaugural roar. So, again, there's a lot of we'll always be Jaguars. So that one's easy. College, I'd probably say if I could pick a college job, probably Michigan. And again, comes back to family. Our oldest son's in school there, is in dental school there. So if I was going to choose to work at a college, I'd want to be somewhere near family. Awesome. And plus it's a fantastic tradition, and I'm a Sharon Moore fan, which is we're going to work on getting him on the show here sometime in the future. It's probably the least he can do for me.
Awesome. Well, on that note, we do have our guest in the building. So I'll leave it up to you to introduce him.
Awesome. Are we going to bring him on first, or are you going to?
I was going to let you introduce him, then I'll bring him in.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Coach Reggie Barlow. Reggie and I go back to, again, to the year 2000 when he was playing for the Jaguars. This guy was a 4th-round pick, wide receiver, kick returner, covered kicks, did everything that he needed to do. Did it at a high level with a smile on his face. He and I, that coaching relationship developed into a friendship after he was done playing. I've been able to follow his career both as a player and as a coach. He's got a Super Bowl ring with the Bucks. This guy was very, very successful in college at Alabama State and Virginia State. His overall college record of 83-58. Last year, he got a break in getting his first pro job with the XFL with the DC Defenders, where he finished 9-1 and was named Coach of the Year. And this year with the merger, he's still with the DC Defenders. He's got his team off to a 2-1 start. And it's just a great pleasure for me to have him on, to be able to talk about him, to have had the opportunity to work with him, and to call him my friend. It's my pleasure to introduce Coach Reggie Barlow.
How's it going, Coach?
How's it going? I appreciate that. How you guys doing?
Reg, I'll take that. You can send me that check later on.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
did with that. I appreciate it.
Well, you know how I feel about you. That's all real. That's real love. This guy, first and foremost, Reggie's a fantastic human being. He cares about his players, going to do things the right way. And he's doing a great job with the opportunity that's in front of him right now. But this is a guy, in my opinion, that we all need to keep an eye on, because I think this guy's on a fast track, and the ceiling is very, very high for Coach Barlow.
Appreciate that.
Right on. And I mean, coming off a Coach of the Year, that's amazing. So I did have a question for you, because you went from the XFL, now it's after the merger. How did that merger work from inside the building? Because from the outside, it looked a little clunky, I guess, right? Because you go from a nationwide platform to it's kind of regional now. So what was that like? Because you guys ended up with a supplemental draft too, where you were kind of getting players from other teams.
Right. So, the merger, obviously there were 4 teams from the USFL that came, and then there was 4 teams from the XFL that came, and both teams still had 4 teams that didn't make it through. So that's 8 teams. So they had a supplemental draft for just those 8 teams that wasn't brought along for the merger. So there was a lot of really good players, guys that played, for Seattle and Florida and some of the other, one of the Houston teams. So there was a lot of talent still left out there. I think it added to the parity in our league once we added those other players from those teams, and it's made the league better and obviously more competitive.
Yeah, no, I could see that. It would be it's unfortunate that they trimmed it so much. Like I figured they were going to lose a couple of teams, but limiting, kind of removing the 2 coasts was surprising to me.
Yeah, obviously I think the goal is to eventually get back to maybe 12 teams. There's been some mention about 2 more teams coming aboard next year. So that's a real possibility. And, for me, I just think there's a lot of guys that deserve an opportunity to play football in the States instead of having to go over to Canada or some of these other places to play. So hopefully at some point, the brand and all that stuff be really good this year. And then at some point, it'll give those other teams the opportunity to come back to the league.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you guys do have some rule changes, or some difference in rules, I should say, from the NFL. What is your take on the not having the chain gang, where you got the 4 cameras that kind of pinpoints where the ball is. Has that worked pretty well? I mean, it almost seems like it would be a little more accurate.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about this league and the NFL, I mean, all plays are being reviewed, especially the ones that are close. They're being reviewed, and but obviously our rules are different. We could go for 1, go for 2, go for 3. If you're down or tied in the fourth quarter, you can go 4th and 12, which happened to us last week. Gave us an opportunity to stay in the game and win. And then, of course, we kick off from the 20-yard line, which is obviously different to right, really different.
Yeah, I mean, I like that though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then our gunners can't move, can't go downfield until the ball is kicked. No one can actually. So
you guys are in the college rule as far as punt, or no? It's an extreme NFL rule.
Yeah, it's that, and
just so everybody knows back, that's watching, just so we're on the clear. The NFL rules, only the most outside two players, which are the gunners, can release on the snap. In college football, all 10 protectors can release as soon as the ball's snapped. So I didn't know that rule. Thanks, Reg. I mean, so it sounds like all 10 protectors have to can't release until the ball's punted. That'll help with the return game for sure.
That's going to be the case this year with the NFL with their new kick rules. Is everybody's stuck? I mean, it's going to be even weirder because it was kind of the XFL hybrid where they're going to be on the opposing 40.
All right.
So it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird to see.
Yeah, I think for everybody, the fans, I mean, obviously the XFL, we did that last year, and we're so accustomed to seeing the ball being kicked off, but I think everybody is wanting to see the ball return. Right, these kick returners now, they don't have to really do any.
It's one of the reasons you had a job, Reggie.
That's exactly right. Right. Yeah. So definitely, the fans pay to see the ball being ran and caught and people tackling. So I think that will increase. And for us, it was 90 something, 95% return with the kickoff team being on the opposing 40-yard line. So they'll get some returns this year.
Well, yeah, because they have to land it in a target zone, right? So you don't get a fair catch it anymore. Touchbacks come out. I think it was like to the 35.
35
so, I mean,
yard line. Right.
You're definitely incentivized to return.
Right. So there's some creative coaches in the NFL, special team coordinator guys like Bono was back in the day. So I'm sure they'll get extremely creative. I've had conversation with 1 or 2 of them already about their my thoughts on kickoff and what we do on kickoff return and that type of stuff. So should be fun for them.
Good deal.
Well, and I mean, sticking with special teams, you guys across the league, you got some impressive field goal kickers. Opening weekend, you had like 3 different guys hit from 60 plus.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That guy hadn't kicked since high school. He made like a 63 or 64-yard field goal. So I was really happy.
Hit another 60 pluser in week 2, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but he's lights out. They say he was coaching at one point, I guess, teaching and kicking and that type of stuff, and now he's making his way, and hopefully he'll get a chance to go up. I know our kicker, Matt McCrane, has done really well. We've called on him a good bit early on in this season. The other day, I think he had a 58 or something like that, 52. So he did a good job for us. It was windy out there, and he's done a good job for us. But yeah, there's a lot of really good kickers here. Last year we had he wasn't a field goal kicker, but he was our punter, and now he's a starting punter for the Green Bay Packers, Daniel Whalen.
That's great.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's one question that I had. I know it's early in the season. You've only played 3 games, but who who have you played against? Who have you seen in the league, player-wise, that's most impressed you that maybe fans should watch, and that that in your mind we could expect to probably see playing in the NFL next year, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, on our team, we have some guys. I know last year we had a good bit of them signed. I still don't understand why our Jordan Tamu, our quarterback, hadn't had an opportunity to go and get picked up or stick. I mean, I'm sure could surely be a 2 or 3 in the NFL, and we're hoping that happened for him this year. Early on this season, I know. And names, I mean, Vic Beasley, who was in the NFL for a little while, is a solid player. We just played them against, he plays for Arlington. Obviously on our team, there's Andre Mintz, defensive end that we have. That's a really good player. We have Ty Scott as a young receiver that has had some time in the NFL in camp.
Wait a minute. Ty Scott from Georgia?
He went to he ended up at Missouri State over with Bob Petrino.
Yeah, but I think is that did he start off at Central Michigan?
I think so. Yeah, he did, huh?
Yeah. Make sure you tell him Coach Bono said hello.
I will do that.
Hey, Reggie, that kid's a freak. I watched him play high school basketball, and we already liked him. He was one of those county schools in Georgia that's like,
right.
I think it was Georgia. It might have been he was from
South Carolina.
He was from South Carolina.
Yeah, but he's
going back 7 or 8 years. But like he had the game I went to, he dunked. He had 4 dunks in one game.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like just breakaway, fast break. These were like, from the top of the key over the top of somebody. I mean, he's legit.
Yeah. He's young, man. He's young, but it's showing now over these last few weeks. Like he's developing, he's growing. He's taking ownership of.
I'm glad he's with you.
Glad
he's with you.
We're expecting him to really explode on the scene.
Please tell him I said hello and send my best.
Yeah, I will do that. We will do that, man. Yes, sir.
It's a small world, Bo.
Yeah, it is. It is.
We're all connected by the white lines, man.
Absolutely.
Passion, right? Yeah.
Yep. No, it's always one of the things that I laugh when I hear ex-players that are on TV, right? Because they're just like, oh yeah, I left it out all on the field and all of that. And I mean, if my knees would let me do it, I'd lace them up today. Like, I don't know what they're talking about. That game never leaves you, really.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's you've been playing. I know I started football early on myself, 7th grade, and then you play until I think I was maybe 32 years old. So, and you still have that itch. So, right, you get into coaching, and that's a way to stay around. I mean, it's nothing like playing the game, but this is a close second, being able to coach and have an impact, and putting a game plan together, and then going out and see how that thing works. So it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely like I laughed when I watched Hard Knocks, right, with Dan Campbell, right, because he's out there doing up downs and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
Right.
As long as you still can, anyway.
Right on.
So I did have some X's and O's questions for you. So you're coming in, you're 2-1, but you do sit with a negative point differential. What do you see on defense that to help kind of fight some of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've obviously the other teams have had something to do with it, but we've just not done the fundamental things right. I mean, the difference between a good defense and good defense and an average defense is tackling, and we just haven't done a good job of tackling. This past game, they were 13 for 18. How about that for a 3rd down percentage, right? So they had all of those extra possessions But so yeah, we got to tackle better. We've had, a few blown coverages in the first 3 games, so we're hoping to improve on that. I think once we get that corrected, our defense will get back to playing with the confidence and with the style of the brand of play that we want them to do. So that's a work in progress. We've so far this week done some good things. Definitely have worked on tackling, and looking forward to seeing the guys go out and show that we can tackle the ball.
So do you have the same limitations that that the NFL does, where you're not really allowed to hit all that much anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do that. I mean, we have a 50-man roster. We only dress 42 on game day. So we try to simulate as best we can, right, with tackling rings and tackling circuits and that type of stuff. But actual taking a guy down, unfortunately, we're not able to do that.
Reggie, do you guys have a practice squad as well, or no?
No practice squad, yeah.
So 50 guys. That's
50 guys.
That kind of goes back to, before you came on, one of the questions, I don't remember what it was, but I got on a tangent. I was telling everybody that the thing that Coach Coughlin told me on my interview was that there are more similarities between the NFL and high school football than there are between the NFL and college football. And I filed that away, and I didn't really realize what he was talking about. And it made sense to me once we started, after training camp, when the roster was cut down, because you just don't have the bodies. And, as a college coach, offense and defense rarely comes together, unless you're on opposite ends, and obviously you have to service one another.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, we have to be extremely creative with reps and how we practice, giving the guys time. Never have 2 team periods back to back, because you don't want the O-line guys. So it's a team period, and then it's a 7-on-7, and it's a team period. It's a special teams. So we try to manage it like that. So the big guys are not going. So that schedule has worked out for us. I think our guys like it. And then, again, we start out with a higher number of reps on the first day of the week. And then we kind of work our way down, all the way down to, red zone, fast Friday type stuff. So have to be creative. Don't have a whole bunch of guys. We have walkthroughs and stuff like that. So we talk to our guys about being pros and knowing, like, some days we're going to have to take the shoulder pads off and just be in helmets and shells, and and it's their responsibility to be a pro, to make sure that they get what they need to be able to go out and perform.
Yep, that's a great point. I mean, you have to get them to the game. You got to get them to game day. That's
right. And then you don't want to kill. You got these coaches that'll kill guys in Indy, and then they can't give you nothing once it's
right.
Team and 7-on-7. So
how many active on game day did you already say?
42.
42. So you have eight inactives on your 50-man roster. Okay.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. And I can't say it enough to our guys, man. Like, I really don't take it for granted, the work that they're doing and the grit and the grind of what they're putting their body and mind through, because they want to have a chance to go up to the next level. And
the other thing is with those numbers, I mean, everybody's playing on special teams. Everybody's got to have a role, which is, it's good for them if they have, if they want to get the opportunity to get to the next level, because more than likely they're going to end up on those units anyway. So it's
that's one of the things we talk about, and that's a great point. Like, 90% of the guys, if they get a chance to sign on, unless they're a quarterback or something, they better be a full phase type of guy to be able to make the team. So that's punt return, kickoff return, and then also being able to play their specific position. So we talk about that a lot. There's guys, Santos Ramirez is another young man that I think on our team, he's, right at that age where, he's a safety, big, long kid, can run, smart, and play on all special teams, and he does a good job for us. So yeah, but there's a good bit of guys, and I'm sure like we played with Birmingham team this weekend, man. They got some guys that I think their D-line guys are pretty good, and most of these guys, Bo, have most of these guys either had a cup of coffee in the league, been to training camp, might have played a year or two. There's a handful of guys that played 3-4 years. We have DJ Swearinger on our team who's played about 8 years, but he loves football, and we love having him around, man, for his leadership and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's quite a few guys that have been around the league that have, ended up there for sure. When I was playing, I wish this league was there because I wasn't quite durable enough to make it to the NFL. Our arena was it, but something like this, I think I could have done. Would have been a blast. It's funny though, because when you talk about people being kind of needing to play on special teams, I always thought it was funny the guys that didn't want to play, because I wanted to be in the grass as much as possible, right? Like I'm already suited up. Let's go hit people like that.
Right. Yeah. Special teams. I mean, that's, Bono said it. Like I played 8 years, and that was because I was a kick returner and punt returner. When I got in the NFL, my goal, I was all set on being the best receiver I can be. And Tom Coughlin comes up in that voice and that look that he has, and how many punts have you caught today? No punts, man. I want to catch the passes. Yeah.
Nope, that's fair.
But it kept us around though, so it's about the more you can do.
Well, returning punts especially, I don't know if there's a harder job in football than fielding punts. In the NFL or in any league, really. College football, UFL, it doesn't matter. It's a you have to be. There's a lot of decisions you need to make very quickly, and that's not even counting the skill it takes to track the ball and field the ball.
Right. Yeah. It is something different. I think me growing up playing baseball, being a center fielder, was kind of like, being able to find the ball, track it, and all that stuff. But then I had good coaches like you guys, man. I still use some of the drills that we used back in the day with Larry Pasquale.
That's right.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to your game this weekend, what without going into a game plan, obviously, what are things you think you can target?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I spoke on our defensive tackling. We have to do a better job of tackling. Birmingham, this team is a really good team. They've had good coach, and they've won a lot. So we got to be able to tackle the ball. We got to be much better on third down. And then offensively, we have to run the ball. Like our offense, if we're able to run the ball successfully, then we'll have a good chance to be in the game and hopes of, winning it at the end. So they're really good up front. They're front four. Those guys are really stout, play the game the right way. But our guys are excited. We're looking forward to the matchup, our interior linemen, O-linemen against this team. And, we want to run the ball and get our playmakers involved and have fun doing it. So should be a good game. It's up in Birmingham, Alabama. My hometown is Montgomery, Alabama. So get a chance to see some of the family, friends, and that type of stuff. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Excuse me. No, that's amazing. That'll be fun.
Yes, sir.
What's the pregame meal look like for you these days, Reg?
It's actually pretty good, man.
You look like you slimmed down a little bit. You look good.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I just these coaches, they try to be nice to me. I tell them their job is good. They don't have to bring me donuts and honey buns. I'm like, hey, you're good with me, bro. You don't have to bring me that. But I try, I walk before every practice, try to do a mile or so. And then after every practice, I'm doing, sprints and that type of stuff, just trying to stay in some type of shape. But they actually do a pretty good spread for our pregame meal, just real similar to what we used to have, man. All the stuff that you need, the grilled chicken breast, the pasta, and that type of stuff. So, try to treat these guys right. But as we tell them, it's not so much about the pregame meal. It's the meal you put in you 48 hours prior to the game. And that's the more important one. And then hydrating yourself and that type of stuff. So those are the things where, people don't really think about that allows you to win or give you the edge to win or give you the energy that you need to stay in a game. So
well, it goes back to your point. It goes back to your point earlier about being a pro. Right?
Yeah,
that's
out being a pro.
Yeah.
And I can't be Tom Coughlin, but I learned so much from him in terms of structure and organization and communication and, having a plan and, making sure that everybody understands what that is. And, that's what we try to do. And talking to our guys about discipline and being a pro and structured and organized and just everything, right? How we carry ourselves, how we carry on around here in our building and all of that. So, but our guys, man, we got some good guys. Our coaches do a good job of Paul revering my message to the players. So, and then it helps when you got a good group of guys.
Are you starting to see some kids that aren't necessarily getting, they're either way down the depth chart in college and they're, trying to walk on, or are you seeing some of those guys coming through?
Oh yeah, we get hundreds of emails and guys will find you on. I could post some on social media about it might be happy birthday to my mom, and then somebody's gonna click on the reply like, I'm a dog, coach, come get me. Like, not on my mom happy birthday post, bro.
Can't knock the hustle, I guess.
I'm not mad at them at all, man. I've had girlfriends of players reach out and, my guy don't know this, but I'm telling you, he's a really good player. And we have, there's a lot of guys, man. I love the fact that guys have a passion for football and want to play, and to the point that we all made. Hopefully, we'll get more teams. So these guys that want to and still have a desire to play, that they can stay here in the States and still be able to play in front of families and all of that good stuff.
So attendance been good at the games?
It's
funny
good.
'cause on TV you don't really get to see. They don't have quite all the camera angles that the NFL does.
Yeah, I think the St. Louis team obviously is the team that has the best attendance so far. They had their first game, they had 40,000 people there, which is outstanding. And, football, they don't have football there, so it's a little different in terms of a professional team. In D.C., which we have a wonderful stadium, Audi Stadium there, and D.C. is a fine, really nice stadium. It's small, it's a soccer stadium, so it's real intimate, and we've put up 20,000 or so in there. Our first game at home, we had a decent crowd, but there was, the Washington Nationals were playing at the same time. Their stadium is right by ours. There's a hockey game. It was like three different things going on at one time there, but we have some great fans there. They show up. We have this thing called a beer snake that they drink beers and they stack the cups, and first quarter that thing is about here, but by halftime, third quarter, fourth quarter, it's all the way up almost out of the stadium. So they be pounding beers out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Reggie's Greg still on staff?
Yeah, Greg Williams is still here, defensive coordinator. And
please tell him I said hello. We may have to ask your permission to get him on the show, but Bo, we're going to have like the beeper ready.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Greg's been known to drop an F-bomb here and there.
That is the plus side to being on Roku and not on national TV is we can get away with that. We don't have the FCC rules that they do. You have to be a little bit careful in some areas, but not there.
Well, he would love to come on with you guys in since you have it like that, because and he actually has a podcast now. Him and his son. I forget his son's name, but
Blake.
Yeah, Blake. Yeah, that was Blake. He came here and spoke to our team maybe about 2 weeks ago. But Blake and him have their own podcast called "Come Get Some."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. So he's been good, man. Greg, obviously, all those years of coaching, being a coordinator, being a head coach, and he's seen it and seen a lot, right?
Yes.
And so it's been cool to be able to bounce stuff off of him, and stuff that he's given me. Real smart guy, and really good football coach, and he's been good for us.
Good deal.
He keeps us laughing, I can tell you that.
Oh, I know that. I love him.
Right.
All right, you got one more for Coach. Coming up close to the end of the hour, so
I'm good. I'm just happy he was able to join us. Thanks for taking your time out of your busy schedule. I know you're busy, and it's great to see you. And hopefully, I'm trying to catch one of your games this fall.
Yeah, man, that'd be great, man.
This spring.
Yep. Thank you. Right. Gotta get used to saying that. Thank you guys for having me on, man. I'll make sure I tell Ty Scott I saw you, talk to you. And great meeting you, Bo. And I'll make sure I tell Greg that you guys want to get him on the show.
Sounds great.
Yeah, have to have you back on as the season goes on.
Right on. I appreciate it, man. Anytime.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Thanks, Reggie.
Yep. See it.
That's awesome.
What a great first guest.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to, kind of seeing their league progress. I really want one of these spring leagues to really work.
I think they're smart. I think they made a really good decision in merging those two leagues so that they're not competing against one another. And I think, your biggest challenge, biggest obstacle anytime you're trying to start a new league like that is obviously the finances. Where are you going to get funding? What can you negotiate TV wise, that sort of thing. So I think the model that they've got pretty strict salary cap restrictions, even on the staffs, and you may know this. I don't want to be incorrect about this, but I think the league right now owns all the teams, right? They do. So, to have, league ownership of all the teams at this point in the game, I think is also very wise. They've got some rule differences to make the game unique and a little bit more interesting on their part, which, again, I think is a positive, something that works in their favor. And, no one else is playing right now. So, I mean, those of us that are football hungry and really, love the game and are going to watch it whenever we can, it's a great alternative. And I think it is an excellent opportunity for young players and coaches to prove themselves and hopefully set them for an opportunity to play in the NFL and fulfill all their dreams. And if they don't get there, at least they had an experience of playing professional football.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's going to be cool to watch. If you are watching on YouTube, on Roku, Spotify video, thanks for tuning in to our first show here. And of course, we will see you again next week. And Coach, it's been a lot of fun, man.
It has been a blast. Thanks, Bo. It was a great first show. And everybody out there, thanks for tuning in, and keep an eye on us. We have a lot more exciting guests coming up here in the future. And, thanks again to Reggie for joining us. He did a fantastic job. Can't think of anybody that would have been a better guest for us for our very first show.
Absolutely. Awesome. Be sure to tune in next week.